Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
She's reckless, daring, bold, brassy, fearless, and you know she's audacious. Here she is in all her sordid glory, the Ann Walker Show.
Let's throw up that picture right off the top.
Right at the
Yay!
start.
Look at that.
Brava,
Can
Scott
you
Nevins.
see that? Woo! Whoa! Was that not? Well, it gave me such goosebumps, and I was crying. I was so excited last night. And then on the New York Times front page is Scott Nevins.
There we see him, just to the left of Hillary Clinton there on her Hillary's stage right, sitting just to the left of a gentleman in a tan jacket. He was right there in the front row.
Indeed,
watching
he was.
history be made.
And he put in a couple of pictures, one with him, Hillary, and one with Bill.
That's right. He got his selfie. He got his selfies.
Well, here we are. Here we are. It's June the 8th, 2016, the day after history has been made, my friends. And it's been a long time coming.
That's right.
Almost 100 years.
96 years since women got the right to vote.
Yeah.
The first female nominee of a major party.
And my co-host for tonight, our one and only Brian Normoyle.
Thank you.
I'm so thrilled.
I haven't earned the applause yet, but thank you.
Yes, you have. I'm so thrilled you're here with me.
And I am thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled to be here in Scott's chair. And as I say, whenever I sit in Scott's chair, I hope I get to absorb some of his dynamism and magnetism.
Well, I think you do in your own way, dear.
Right.
Nobody can be as, I can't even match his exuberance.
We were texting last night about unrelated things, and I don't even know how it came up, but I said to him something. I generally tend to show a little bit restraint. And he goes, I know, I marvel at it, especially on camera. Like, you just don't get worked up. And he said, I try to take a lesson from you. And I said, my God, Scott, that's exactly why people tune in to watch you, because of your dynamic personality.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing he's not listening to this or watching this, because he won't know that I'm talking about him.
He might tune in.
But
he may call us.
He may call us.
I don't know.
He did say he's seeing a show. He's seeing a show, and he said he might call an intermission.
Oh, good.
What show did he say that he was seeing? He's seeing She Loves Me.
Oh, good.
She Loves Me.
He probably knows somebody in that cast. He knows everybody who's in a show.
Everyone.
Now, first of all, today, I think that we also must take a moment and talk about the speech that Mr. Trump spoke his speech last night using that teleprompter.
What's interesting is that Republicans liked to criticize Barack Obama in the early years of his administration for his use of teleprompters. Never mind that Ronald Reagan and George Bush Sr. and everybody else did it too. But I don't think that Republicans have ever been so happy in their lives to see a teleprompter as they were last night. He's had a rough 2 weeks, that Donald Trump. Rough 2 weeks. He's on defense.
Yes, he has. And he knew he better deliver last night. People are looking at taking him out of the convention, denying him the nomination.
Well, it's interesting that, we worry about Bernie Sanders staying in this race all the way through to the convention and threatening a messy convention, a contested convention, although I did predict he wouldn't use that phrase last night in his speech, and he did not.
Good.
I think he needs to drop out before the convention, but we're now shifting back to the possibility that we could see a truly messy convention on the Republican side.
Exactly. And I don't think we know what the hell's going to happen.
I got to be honest with you. I take no joy in it, none whatsoever.
I see. I know. Me either.
Hi,
Alex.
Come on in.
We have a guest with us tonight who is the political director of Bros for Hillary. Hi, Alex. I hadn't met you before. How are you?
Oh, that's right. So Scott, when Scott was filling in for you and I was filling in for him, we had Alex Mohajer. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome back.
Alex is here.
Alex is an attorney here in Los Angeles,
I
California.
Need to see you.
Yes, there you go.
We're meeting now for the first time. So.
Wonderful.
Great.
Oh, okay, we got the cameras adjusted?
Yeah.
Perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen who are watching
Alex.
and following us live, Alex Mohajer is a Los Angeles-based attorney, and he is the political director, as Ann just said, of Bros for Hillary, the Facebook group, which is now no longer just a Facebook group. It is a political activist
volunteer
group.
organization.
That's right. Working with the Hillary campaign. pull the mic up close to your.
And we're currently not to discuss our game plan because we're coming up with a game plan now. So we're coming up with talking points.
Excited.
So I'm not supposed to talk about what's coming up for Bros for Hill.
That's okay. That's okay.
But do tell you, I mean, you're looking for volunteers. I saw that the other time online. Feel free to
I will say that if you would like to join, www.brosforhillary.com with the number 4. Or Facebook, Bros for Hillary, number 4.
And when I first saw this group, a friend of mine, Nelson Malagrito, founded this group with Alex and a few others, and I
just joined.
I didn't found it actually. I came.
You came on board a little later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was
Nelson Malagrito and Rance Collins.
That's right.
That started it.
That's right. Rance called into the show a few weeks ago, actually.
Oh,
so he's not unfamiliar to our listeners and our viewers.
Great.
When I first encountered the group, I think back in February, it was 278 members, and I think if I'm correct about this, as of last night, it's 9,000.
9,000. That's right.
And how long have you been in operation? When did
they founded it around the New Hampshire Iowa caucuses?
Right, it was early February.
Yeah,
that's right.
This year.
So in 4 months, it went from 2 members to 9,000. That's a pretty monumental thing.
Well, I'll tell you something. It's running rampant on Facebook. So I suggest everybody out there go and join Bros number 4 Hillary. And you'll love it. I get all this information from everybody, and everybody's very cogent with what they're saying. I don't think there's been anything that I thought, oh, well, that's a little out of line.
Well, you try to mitigate it, and comments are moderated, and or posts are moderated, and things like that, which I think is a smart call. And in his capacity as the political director of Bros for Hillary, Alex last night hosted a election return viewing party at the Revolver Bar in West Hollywood.
There was a few of us. It was actually there was a host committee and all of the leadership team or the admins. It was all a group effort.
That's great.
Yeah. And it was
so
very
how was
successful.
it over there last night?
Well, I think for every Hillary Clinton supporter, very exciting evening.
Yes,
and so it was just nice to be around people that, personally speaking, just from my own point of view, it was nice to be around people who share a love for her and have been working so hard to campaign for her and to get her elected. And there's so many people who are working so hard, and it's such a team effort. So it's really rewarding.
I didn't know that Robbie Mook happened to be gay.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, who is her
also
campaign
my future
manager?
Husband.
I hope so.
Didn't you refer to me as your future husband once?
Well, Brian.
One time at a post.
Then I found out you used to be married to my friend.
You knew that.
You knew that
beforehand.
Just kidding.
So now you're
It's a very small world.
Yes,
it's a very small world, Anna.
Believe me, I'm in there. Now you're an actor and a singer.
That's
besides
right.
being an attorney. How did that happen?
Well, how did it happen? I don't know. I was born with a natural penchant for
performing.
Yeah, no, it started as a way of escaping. I almost just said escaping.
Like, do you say espresso too? I need an espresso.
The library. It started as a way of escaping. I think with a lot of performers.
Yes, it does.
Difficult
That's exactly
roots.
Right. Yeah.
And
where'd you grow up?
I grew up in a very affluent middle class city by the name of Irvine, California, down here.
I didn't realize that.
But
that is Orange County.
But I grew up poor in Irvine, California, which was a very strange experience because on the one hand you're poor, but you also get to exist around people that are
money.
affluent and do have money. So I was always privy to what I didn't have.
Yeah.
And it put a fire underneath me, I guess, and maybe I think I'm a competitive person because of the way I grew up.
Don't you think though it works that way? I mean, look at Hillary's upbringing. And hearing the stories that her mother had to go through. And I was so... I just started crying last night during her speech.
I did too.
Because
it was a really
Mrs.
beautiful
Rodham
moment.
really did have it. Now, talk about having it tough. Being, on her own when she was like 13 or 14, something like that.
Right.
And then just being cast out and having no family.
That was one of my favorite moments of the speech, by the way. And this is one of those moments with Hillary Clinton that people often talk about, where you see, because people who know her and talk about it say that in private, in person, she's very, very warm, and she's very engaged and has a great sense of humor. And is very genuine and authentic and relatable.
Yes.
And because she's, I think, so shrewd and so smart and has such a breadth of knowledge and depth of knowledge, I think she comes across sometimes, like Obama does sometimes, as aloof or distant or cold.
Right. Yeah.
And then we see these moments like whenever she, the night before the New Hampshire primary in 2008, where she talked about the difficulty of running a campaign and became emotional, or moments like last night in that speech where she speaks about, I wish my mother could be here.
And that's when I started crying.
And progressives understand the importance of that statement. Because of her relationship with her mother and the struggles that you're referring to now. And it's one of those moments you think, no one will ever be able to convince me that this woman is not authentic or doesn't have a heart.
Well, it's interesting because, so while we're talking about the acting singing thing, I did just do the one-man show at the Rockwell on Sunday.
And we personally have a 3-minute song that we're going to play in a little while. I beat you guys to
the punch, I'm sorry. But
it's okay.
The entire theme of the evening was intention versus perception. And how it is that that any given person at any given time can exist with two dual identities that exist at the same time. Exactly, and one is your intention, and one is who you are and who you think you are, and the other is what people perceive you as being. And both, one isn't necessarily more true than the other, because all of our subjective experiences inform who we are and what we see and what we understand, and they inform our perception of things. So
that's very interesting. I wish I'd seen it.
Well, you may get a chance in August.
Oh, good.
Because we may be doing an encore show in August.
At the Rockwell?
Exciting. At the Rockwell, yes.
Wonderful. Will you let us know?
I will let you know.
Yeah.
But my point of even bringing that up is to say that, I think there's a very interesting dual perception thing going on with Hillary, where it's flabbergasting to me sometimes, people's opinions of her being.
I know. I'm always amazed.
Because I see her as a very warm, charming, and an excellent speaker, an orator. Other people don't see her that way.
They just think if she opens her mouth, it's the same way I felt about George Bush Jr. If his lips were moving, he was lying to us.
Right.
I never could get past that. And consequently, I did say a lot of really awful things about him, which were all true.
Although, don't you find in retrospect that our opinion of him has softened?
We talked
about this a couple months ago. This actually happens. Americans are very fond of their ex-presidents, and we can look back on presidents that made grave mistakes, like Ronald Reagan with the AIDS crisis, certainly Nixon with Watergate and all his slew of scandals. I think he's actually the only one that we didn't really soften our view on.
Who?
Nixon,
yeah.
But we look back on fondness with Carter. Carter ran a largely ineffectual administration.
He tried, though. I loved
Jimmy
Carter.
Of course, and under almost impossible.
I love Jimmy Carter, too.
Gerald Ford took a lot of shit for pardoning Richard Nixon, but it is now widely believed, and I'm one of these people, that he absolutely did the right thing. It was time for us to move on and move forward from that. It was a brave call that probably cost him the presidency.
Yes, it did.
And he did the right thing for America.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a man doing the right thing for his country.
Right.
And a man who cared about doing the right thing.
That's right.
It was not a party decision, I don't think. I think it really was to get this. We were in the dump.
It was time to move forward.
Dumpster at the bottom of the dregs with the Nixon thing.
That's right.
I mean, we all trusted Nixon.
And no one wanted to see an American president go to jail.
Yeah.
Which is another. No one wants to see that. And I think, for me, the moment that I softened with President Bush, and I try to see the humanity in everyone that may come as a shock to people who know me, but
panders to the camera.
No, actually, Scott's told me many times, he's like, you're far kinder than I am about these kinds of things, because he, especially with the Bernie stuff. But there was a time, and I think he was still the president of the United States, and his daughter, Barbara Bush, was on, I think it was the Rosie O'Donnell show. It may have been Ellen. It may have been. No, it was Ellen, because Ellen likes to do phone calls.
Those Bush twins are insufferable.
And I disagree. And
one of them is not so bad.
And they've grown up, and they're very productive members of society. And as you
She's
would.
She's pretty personable on television.
Barbara Bush?
No.
Jenna?
Jenna.
I think they both are. But in any case, so I'm going to say it's Ellen.
Okay,
I could be wrong, but let's just say it's Ellen.
All right.
Ellen, says, well, so can you just call the White House and get into the Oval Office? And she's like, yeah, and she's like, okay. She pulls out a phone and she calls the White House operator or whatever and dials in. I'm sure there's video of this somewhere. And she gets through to Dad. And she's like, oh my God, he's going to kill me. And she's like, Dad, hi, honey, what's going on? Right? And he's like, well, I'm on the Ellen Show. And people start screaming, right? And he's, he has this, 1.5, 2 minute conversation. He's like, well, I love you, honey. Goodbye. And you can hear the genuine affection in this man's voice for his daughter. And not just affection, but also respect.
That's like the lowest common denominator. So he loves his child.
But listen, we don't get, for a president that everyone wanted to have a beer with, right? Because of, he's got that folksy charm, which I largely saw as manufactured because he grew up a rich boy in Connecticut. Yeah. And now he's clearing brush on his ranch in Waco.
And painting animals.
Right. Well, now he's painting animals and doing paintings of someone in a bathtub or something. I don't know. Anyway, it was just one of those moments where I thought, it's so easy for us to vilify people that we don't identify with, don't understand, or don't like.
You know what? But that's my point. It's so easy for us to vilify anybody because our perception of things differ from person to person.
Absolutely.
And what is it necessarily? I think there are factual reasons why people disliked the Bush administration as much as they did.
Of course.
I think that our view of him has softened over time because perhaps it really wasn't him as a man.
Yeah. Well, I think Dick Cheney had a lot to do with that presidency.
That's right.
And
there was not
really Karl Rove.
And Karl Rove.
Who's back in the game.
And by the way, this is how administrations are run. It takes a village, right? It's not. Yes, George Bush.
Talking about Hillary.
That's right.
It takes a village.
I'll drop as many. I'm wearing Hillary blue today.
That's right.
Hillary blue. He famously said, "I'm the decider. I'm the decider."
And he also said he was a uniter too.
Well, he said in 2000, "I'm a uniter, not a divider." But he said in an interview
the word nuclear.
Nuclear. Yeah, nuclear.
Yeah.
Troublesome.
But what I mean by that is so that he says I'm the decider, and that to me means what we all know. It's obvious is that it's not just one person, making these decisions and reading this information. And I said to someone yesterday, he texted me yesterday morning, and he said, "I know you're already up because it's election day," and I get giddy about election day, so of course I was.
I was too.
And I don't vote by mail, and I don't vote absentee.
I wanted to go there.
Yes, it's a ritual for me, and I never drive.
I'm a traditionalist. I like to go to the polling.
I walk. I want the sticker.
Yeah. I want the sticker. I want to be in line.
I wore my sticker all day.
Yeah,
I wore mine all day. I almost wore it today.
We should have worn it today. I took a picture of it, when I got back in my car after I got it. And I was surprised to see a lot of you took a picture of it and posted it on Facebook, and I liked it.
I have always posted my I voted sticker on social media, but I didn't yesterday. I do have a picture where I'm wearing one.
What happened? What changed?
There's a picture of me in the car on the way to your Bros for Hillary watch party. And you can see the sticker, but I'm not pointing out the sticker. Mm-hmm. So Lewis is my friend's name. He texted me like, "I know you're up." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well," and I said, "You're going to vote today, aren't you?" And he said, "Yes, of course I am." And I said, "Because it's going to be a close election." Turns out it wasn't. Woohoo!
Can you believe that?
I actually.
Do we have the final tally of how many people voted in California? Because last night,
Normoyle has those numbers.
Last night, when I went to bed at around 1 o'clock, the numbers were still very low. It was only about, I don't know, maybe 50% around 1 this morning.
100% of the returns are in.
Okay. What is
100%? Really?
100%. It's all in. California. She won, basically, for rounding, 56%, and he won 43%. It was a 13-point spread.
Okay.
Now,
so
I will say this.
Let
me say this,
well,
I want to say,
what?
A month ago, we sat here at this table.
That's right.
Scott Nevins and Brian Normoyle and I discussed our predictions for what would happen in California. Me and Brian both guesstimated 10%. So she far exceeded our estimation.
That's right.
I thought it was really going to be a squeaker. Now, tell me, but
I've got the numbers.
People were talking today about the fact that what happened to all the votes that didn't get counted by those people those not provisional voters, but the ones who go in, take their ballot into and get a Democratic
crossover ballots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, have those been counted, do you think?
Well, if they voted in person,
Because Bernie's people are saying, we didn't count them.
Yeah, Bernie's people are saying a lot of things.
I'm
First of all,
exhausted.
yes, I am too. I'm so weird. I'm really am. I'm an eminently patient man. I really am, but I am at the limit of my patience in debunking conspiracy theories
Brian,
and nonsense.
I am a far less patient man. so
So
imagine
how
how
many-
I feel.
So what was
So
the total
numbers-wise,
number?
we've got 1.5 million voted for Bernie Sanders and 1.9 million voted for Hillary
That's
Clinton.
what I thought. Now, can you imagine
So she won by almost-
million people? Only 3.5 million people voted in California.
Yeah,
It's hard for me.
Extremely heartbreaking.
Yeah,
It is.
That our
in
voter
in a
turnout is
state
so low.
where we have 40 million people.
I think that it's obviously not just a Democrat problem. It's the entire system. We don't have an appropriate voter turnout.
No, although we can say that there were hundreds of thousands of new voter registrations in the last 60 days of this primary,
Yes,
which
but-
which
We've seen a
is a good
spike,
thing.
so that's good. But I think there were less votes this primary cycle than the Obama-Clinton 2008.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. Those were two historic.
You're right, but I think that there is a widespread problem with
Don't
voter
you
turnout,
think? I
and
mean,
it's something we need to. I think
That's
it's important.
Well, no, by the way,
3.5
those
million
are
people.
Democratic votes, by the way. We're not counting the Republican votes.
Right. I don't give a shit about those people.
There's Ann Walker, ladies and
Yes. I give a shit about them up to the point that I get so turned off by the rhetoric that they continue to say he's a racist, but I'm still going to support him.
gentlemen. It's a remarkable
Thank
thing.
you, Paul. What's his name, Ryan?
Paul Ryan. Isn't that
Ryan.
remarkable? He's the effective argument from GOP leadership this week is, of course he's a racist, but he absolutely needs to be president of the United States. Right. It's just mind-blowing.
Because why?
Because Hillary.
Because he ideologically is so in line with the Republican Party. He's
Yeah.
not really, is he?
No.
This, I said back when George W. Bush was leaving the White House that this was the end of the Republican Party as we know it, and that we would have a Democrat in the White House for 16 years. I said it back in 2007.
God bless you, my
and
child.
it came to be, and it came to be, and not only that, it came to be that the Republican Party would continue to decline from the place that they were in, even in 2007, 2008, which was already in a pretty poor state.
When you think about it, Ronald Reagan couldn't get elected in the current Republican Party.
No, he wouldn't be nominated.
No.
No.
Now,
It's
let
a
me
very
ask,
troubling
do
thing.
we have anybody talking to us on the Facebook? I like calling it the Facebook.
The Facebook.
On the Facebook.
On the Facebook. Anybody saying anything on there?
I can go and check. I was on the UBN chat room.
Oh, okay. How are they doing over there in the chat room? You guys.
Well, meanwhile, almost 500,000 people in California more voted for Hillary Clinton than Bernie Sanders,
Right.
and four of the last 6 polls said she was going to win by 2 points. She won by almost 13.
Well,
I find that interesting.
That's a testament to polls,
Yeah.
which I always say are ludicrous, and we should pay no attention
I'm unable
to them.
to even. I look at that poll thing every day on Huffington Post, and first of all, they don't keep them up to date. I mean, I know they try to, but I never can quite figure out.
Well,
So
look, the other thing is, if I
let
could
me
just,
know if anybody's saying anything that they want to talk about.
I want to chime in and say that there is.
Wait 1 second.
Oh yeah.
What now?
Well, they just said, "Hey, Ann."
Oh,
Hey, Ann.
Hey, oh, hey there.
How you do? That there is a major incentive for the media to propagate a storyline that it is a close race.
That's right.
That it's a contentious race, because the more on edge we are about it, the more drama, the more people
That's
watch,
true.
and the more sleep
That's
number
very
mattresses
true.
they
Yeah.
sell. So
Yeah.
I think I
keep
always felt
forgetting,
that was
yeah.
a narrative that was not going to turn out to be true about California.
Yeah.
Well, and
The storyline that it was a close race.
What's not just California, but the race in general, and I think
Yeah.
that's actually one of the disconnects with the supporters who feel like the process is rigged or that it was robbed of them or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of things that play into that, but one of the big ones I think is so they have this narrative of a media blackout that no one was paying attention to Bernie Sanders. a year ago.
Got a
Well,
call?
the truth of the matter is that his media coverage was commensurate with his viability and his standing in the polls. So as he got higher in the polls, people paid more attention. Once the debate started, he was being covered more. Hillary did get a lot more coverage in the last 6 months of last year, but of course, a lot of that was negative because of the email scandal and everything else.
I go on. I do a Google News search on her every day. It's one nice story and 10 terrible stories.
Of course.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But my point is that so once they started covering the race with more zeal, they created a narrative of a horse race that never actually really was there.
Of course.
Right? And so he wins 8 contests in a row in April over the course of a month before New York. And you have pundits on television saying, well, is Hillary going to be able to make a comeback? Comeback? She was leading by 300 pledged delegates.
It was never
a close race.
No,
it was never a close race.
Now, what is this information? Let me just ask Kurt. Kurt, dear, what are they saying? Did you have a comment or something? Somebody said, I want to make sure that I involve them.
Hey, Facebook, how you do?
Jim Allen would like to know, what is the real chance of someone like Jill Stein pulling a Ralph Nader 2000 on this campaign?
Effectively zero.
Effectively zero.
You think?
Absolutely.
Of course. Yeah, Jill Stein's been
Or that
around
Gary
for a long
Johnson?
time.
Yeah, she has.
Right. She's been around a long time.
Gary Johnson and the Libertarians.
Look, I think that...
Not Libertarians.
I think that...
Are they Libertarians? Yeah.
Libertarians.
Yeah.
I think that historically, voter turnout goes up when there is an opposition to a particularly offensive candidate. And so I think we're going to see, hopefully, and we can't get complacent about this, and it's all our job to push people to get out there, but there will be a huge push to make sure Donald Trump's not elected. And I think at the end of the day...
It's on my Facebook, but there it is. 323, if you want to call in.
Call in, everybody.
323-284-7826.
284.
7826.
Are you calling right now, Brian?
I'm going to call into the show.
Like, hi, we really need callers.
So, but let's go ahead. Let's talk about what you were saying. Do you think?
Oh yeah, historically, voter turnout comes up when there is a candidate that people oppose or that people find particularly offensive, and I think that we will.
Because they're casting protest votes?
Yes, and so I think we will see that happen. I think that some of the things that Donald Trump has said, you can't walk back, which you and me have personally discussed.
That's right.
And I think there is another historic election before us, and I think that people will be very excited to elect the first female president. We'll see what happens, but
yeah,
right. And I don't like to make predictions, but third-party candidacies in general don't go particularly far.
Well, and the other thing is she already has the coalition necessary to win a general electoral election.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about who wins elections, we in the general, we're looking at 9 to 10 swing states.
That's right.
We're talking about New Mexico, Pennsylvania, Florida, Texas.
Well, and another important point to add to that is that in 2000, yes, of course, Al Gore lost Florida in large part because of Ralph Nader's candidacy. I think he won over 100,000 votes there.
But Al Gore also, when they stopped counting those votes, because it was Jeb Bush's, we have a phone call.
Oh.
Hi, caller. What's your name? What are you calling from?
Dear friend, my name is Scott, and I'm.
Oh my God!
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Scott, I thought you were going to be here today.
Yeah, Alex walked in and was very disappointed to see that I was sitting in your chair, Scott.
No, I knew you would be here. I just thought Scott would be here too.
Hi, honey. Tell us what's happening.
Hi, how you two? Well, I'm at intermission of seeing my brilliant friend Laura Benanti, and she loves me, and it's absolutely amazing.
Would tell your brilliant friend Laura Benanti that I'm one of her biggest fans, and I need to meet her someday.
I will do.
I do love Laura.
I will do
Benanti.
so. She's
Well,
so great.
I
She's so
tell you,
talented.
between the Hillary's speech last night and seeing you right behind her, I almost wet myself. I did. I was so excited. I was hollering at the screen.
Brian was at the Revolver, and he was pointing you out on the television, being like, "There's Scott Nevins." It was very exciting.
It was so fun. I think I received more emails, calls, texts, and tweets about that appearance than I have of any episode of any TV show I've ever done.
That's exactly right. That you're the real star. Your
As
real
well you
star-making moment was being in the
Yeah.
front row at Hillary's
It is
historic
pretty
speech.
cool, Scott. You're a part of a very historic moment.
That's
yes,
right.
you are.
We will
And the fact that you were right there. I want to know, nuts and bolts how you got up to where you were right behind her.
Well, darling.
I know you're
I'm
Scott Nevins.
Nevins.
I know that. But give me some nuts and bolts.
Wow.
Well done.
I mean, really,
Well
was it because you knew somebody and they knew you were on the People's Couch? Is that what it was? And you through your celebrity?
No. The truth is, the campaign reached out to me about a week and a half ago, saying we've seen your posts and your TV interviews where you talk about Hillary, and we know you're a big supporter. Would you like to come tour the headquarters? And I said I would love to. It'd be an honor. And I'm actually doing that tomorrow. And then after that, I am, I got a alert, just a general alert saying there is this event happening on the night when she officially grabs the nomination and blah, blah, blah. And I just RSVP'd for it. And then I got another email saying, we just saw that you RSVP'd for this and we put you on the Group A list.
I am so impressed.
He got Group A boarding.
Okay, your friend said who were you? Your friends? Finish that thought again.
My friend Tom works for the campaign, and he works on all the special event nights. And so I walked in, and I didn't see him, but I just gave my name, and they had me on that list, and they were like, "Oh, you go right here." And I walked in, and it was literally right in front.
How early did you have to get there? How early did you?
Not that early. I mean, I got there at like 7:30, I think. It was great.
That is so cool.
You were a part of history, Scott Nevins.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was so thrilling to be there, and it was, the thing you didn't see was Bill Clinton, and I thought of you every time he walked by, and I would call him Uncle Bill. He was getting like teary-eyed while she was speaking, while she was doing her speech. It was beautiful.
Was he just beaming the whole time?
He does love her.
Oh, he was just glittering in his eyes. He was just so happy, and Chelsea was so great.
Well,
I was shocked, though, that at the end of her speech that she had Chelsea come up there. Chelsea made it back up on the stage for a hug and a kiss. Why didn't Uncle Bill come? I was really disappointed.
It's because it's her moment.
I think it was her moment.
It was her moment.
And
I know,
let it be
but
a statement
it's her
about
husband.
I think it was a statement about her earning this on her own.
On her own merits.
And being the first female to get a nomination.
But he did come up and he hugged her, and it was a really great moment because he wanted it to be about her. Nobody opened for her. It literally was just the national anthem and then her.
And I love the fact
it was really amazing. It was thrilling to be a part of it.
In the interest of being positive about this positive moment, I have nothing to say about the national anthem.
Oh, except where we were at, there were 250 people who were singing along.
They sang along.
Very nice.
Well, I also liked during her speech that she said the Pledge of Allegiance. It just made me warm and fuzzy and all gooey inside. And I tell you, I cried. I really cried.
Aw.
And
I cried too, but
it was a beautiful moment.
It was. And I'm just thrilled that you were there. You got all my texts.
Yeah.
I was hollering.
Yes, thank you.
It was
thank
great.
You.
And you got your selfies.
I'm excited to tour the headquarters tomorrow.
And that's over in Brooklyn? Is that where it is, in Brooklyn?
Yes, ma'am.
I love it. I love it. So how's the show tonight? How's She Loves Me?
The show is fantastic.
Wait, you're really
so
seriously
great,
at the intermission right now? Oh my God, that's awesome.
This man multitasks.
Also, I love that this is a show where everyone here can talk about musical theater and then politics interchangeably.
Of course. They're all the same. Come on. It's all intertwined.
I mean, I've been there. I've done that too. I can't sing worth shit.
Even your guests, you've never met me, Ann.
No, but that's true.
Surprise, musicals.
We're going to be playing a little of Alex's appearance last week. At the Rockwell.
Oh, great. How fun is that?
He's a great singer, and I want to hear him.
Oh,
we'll let the listeners be the judge of that soon enough.
Well. Anyway,
we miss you here, Scott Nevins.
I'm gonna go back.
You
in.
go.
Calling us back in for the Act 2, but I just wanted to call and say hi and say last night was pretty spectacular, and I was so thrilled to be a part of history, and I thought it was hilarious that I'm on the front page of the New York Times, my first time.
Yeah, not just that, but 50 years from now, when you're with your grandchildren, Scott, you will be watching video of you at that speech. A video we'll still be watching 50 years from now.
That's exactly right.
We miss you here, Scott. Have a great time.
We love you.
Tell Laura hello.
Give Laura our best.
Just give her a kiss.
Just give her a kiss. Right, tell her hey from Brian and Alex.
Okay, baby. Take care.
Bye, Scott.
Bye,
miss
darling.
you.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Laura Benanti, in my mind, was aside from the fact that she's just a radiant, stunning woman with such grace, as I think a phrase that I use to describe you on stage once, and which is she has the gravity of Jupiter with the grace of Neptune, and that voice. That is a voice.
That is a compliment, and coming from the voice of Brian Normoyle.
I know.
Oh, this voice!
I mean, I just lost a button.
My voice is only deep today because of how much gin I had last night. That's about it.
Brian Normoyle,
you've always got a good,
very proud of his
voice.
Drinking habits.
Yes. Well,
I just like gin.
I want to see. Gin makes me mean.
Makes you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to see this.
Brian was like, "Do you want a drink?" And I was working a table there and stuff, and I was like, "Yes." And he's like, "What do you want?" I said, "A glass of white wine, whatever they got." And he's like, "You know what?" Like, he was so offended.
Well, no, I was like, white wine at a bar, it's going to taste like shit.
I was like, just get me the wine, Brian.
So then I buy him the wine, and then I go by, and like an hour later, he's still doing his thing, and the level's gone down about 2 millimeters.
I'm not a big drinker.
No.
I've never
Well,
been.
that's okay.
I know.
We drink enough for
you guys can
you. Yeah.
carry the slack.
Now, I want to just make this statement.
Okay.
All the men who have ever been president of the United States, beginning with our dear George Washington, they all, if it had been a requirement that they were perfect human beings, we would have never had a president of the United States. Because each and every one of them, down through the years, some have been so atrocious. Zachary Taylor, for one.
Zach Taylor.
Oh, President Taylor.
Yeah. But also, there were, I don't think Harding was very good, apparently, or
Coolidge.
Coolidge, yeah.
Was another one.
But why they think
Nixon, Bush.
Yeah.
Bush.
But
Andrew Jackson.
Andrew Jackson had there's a different story. I mean, we can argue the merits of Andrew Jackson at a different time.
However,
the Native American murderer.
Let me make
I'm
trying to be sarcastic.
Here. Then we can go and argue about Andrew Jackson. The point being is that now we have the first woman nominee for a presidential election in this country, and she carries some baggage with her. There's no question that they have, intimidated her or tried to intimidate her and label her for the last 25 years, and it's no different than a man if a man was running for president. I mean, look at Trump, for God's sakes. There are so many things that are wrong with him, and she can't have anything wrong with her.
It's a sexist double standard.
Don't you think?
Of course. But you know what? We hold all the women in our society to a sexist double standard. It's not just her. It's a brilliant reflection of how we treat women in our society. They have to be everything to everyone at all times, and if there is even one seeming whiff of impropriety, we hold them to an exponentially higher standard.
It really pisses me the fuck off, I'll tell you.
To dovetail into this, can I read a
please,
statement?
Please.
It's probably 35 seconds or less.
Okay.
I actually found this. It's a random post on Facebook that someone shared today that I ended up sharing. I have no idea who this author is, but I just found it really remarkable because it speaks to exactly this issue and pretty much my sense of it. It says, I was in high school in North Carolina when I first heard of Hillary Clinton. Everyone knew that I hated her. This radically liberal feminist who wanted us to call her Hillary Rodham Clinton and danced to Fleetwood Mac with her Bubba husband. She was going to destroy the country. Right. She wanted universal health care. She refused to just smile and nod at state dinners like a first lady should. But not to worry, this was a center-right nation. Reagan's America. God's America. These uppity, godless liberals would be sent packing to Arkansas with their tails between their legs, lickety-split. Well, only 31 women have ever been elected to the U.S. Senate. Hillary Clinton is one of them. Only 3 women have ever been Secretary of State. Hillary Clinton is one of them. And now, only 1 woman has ever been a major party's nominee for president. Hillary Clinton. 24 years after people hated her for being too liberal, a lot of people still hate her for being too liberal. And yet, a lot of liberals now hate her for not being liberal enough. I think that's exciting, he says. Because in 1992, the idea that she was conservative was ludicrous. But the world has changed. Progressives have made huge progress, and Hillary Clinton, derided and hated by so many at every turn, has been a huge part of that progress, even as, yes, some issues have progressed even faster than she has. Is she perfect? Absolutely not. But that hasn't been a requirement for any of the men who've been elected president, and it shouldn't be now.
Yes.
She inspires me. And if I faced the vitriol and hate and conspiracy mongering she's faced in her political life for even 24 minutes, let alone 24 years, I would just give up and go home. And yet here we are. She is going to be the first female president of the United States. By the way, I should point, truly, this gentleman's name.
Yeah.
His name is Anthony King. He's a writer and a producer at Search Party, which is, I guess, on TBS, which makes sense why that's so well written. And apparently he's a performer at the Upright Citizens Brigade here in L.A. Anthony, I'm quite certain you're not listening right now, but if you are, that was remarkable.
Very nice.
Extremely
Thank you for indulging me in that.
Yes. Now,
thanks for reading it. That's very poignant and so on the money.
I want us to talk about Hillary's emails.
Oh, God.
Now,
sick of hearing about your damn emails.
Yeah, let me just read this. The FBI currently has possession of the server Clinton used to run her personal email setup as part of an investigation into whether classified information was mishandled. In a separate filing on Monday, the Justice Department refused to detail the nature of the FBI probe connected to Clinton's machine, except that it was based on a security referral from inspectors general at the State Department and federal intelligence agencies. The FBI is not required to identify the particular federal statute that it alleges has been violated in connection with the pending investigation or the target of the investigation in order to keep the information secret, it asserted. The filing would be the second secret declaration issued as part of the FOIA lawsuit, which was launched by Vice News journalist Jason Leopold. The Justice Department did not ask for court approval before filing its first secret declaration earlier this year, prompting outrage from Leopold's attorneys. Afterwards, Judge Randolph Moss ruled that the department would not also have to provide a redacted version of the filing for the public. Now, in the same vein as this, the nation's top intelligence officer is expected to step into the heated politics of these people in the intelligence community are now getting involved in transgender rights and all these other things. I don't understand. I guess my question is this. I'm still, because I am a little challenged on how computers work and how servers work.
As I suspect Hillary Clinton is.
And exactly.
Bingo.
She and I are very close to the same age. I'm like a year or two older than her. And I'll tell you something. I don't fucking understand it. And if you get me an IT kid, like I had Kurt is fabulous as my engineer, but my previous engineer, had it not been for him explaining things to me, I mean, in my crowd of friends, I'm the one with all the knowledge about the computer. Mm-hmm. However, my knowledge is so slender. What the hell? Can we explain it to our folks?
Actually, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
You say you don't have experience with computers or technology. So
I mean,
in the world of computers and technology, you're a layperson. You don't totally understand it.
Yeah.
So from a layperson's perspective, what is your understanding of the email scandal? What do you think it is about?
Okay.
Just like in a sentence, what do you think?
That there is a government email address. Mm-hmm. And each person in the government is assigned a particular address, like the State Department has one, and it's all .gov, but it's Hillary@something.gov. And so you have to, all your emails when you are in business, now, you're doing that. She decided that she would, instead of having .gov, now this is the way I'm understanding it.
She'd use her own.
She would use like a .org or a .com or a .net
or whatever.
So the way you just explained it,
mm-hmm.
I think is a perfect summary of what happened. I mean, aside from some of the technical aspects of it, but more importantly, this is just my opinion here. I don't speak for anybody. This is faux outrage about something that's really quite meaningless, in my opinion.
Manufactured outrage.
Yeah, it's faux outrage.
Why are they continuing?
Because it's something that they can use to go after her
but
and
the
create.
FBI
and
is
create,
part of our administration now.
But they are creating an appearance of impropriety.
Exactly.
Where there wasn't necessarily an impropriety.
Well,
and that's what we've been doing to Hillary Clinton for her whole life.
The reason why, and they have not said who or what is the target of the investigation, although they did say last August that she was not. Whether or not that's changed, no one really knows. Here's the thing. I read the Inspector General's report. I'm not a lawyer and I'm not an IT expert and I'm not a security expert, but based off of, but I know how to read and how they summarized it from their internal investigation. There was a violation of protocol. Okay, but it's not clear that there was a violation of law. And the reason why I've said, for the life of me, I will not ever understand why progressives would wish for an indictment. And we now, after the Politico piece that came out about the death throes of Sanders' campaign, he's only staying in it through the convention because even he thinks there could be an indictment. We should talk about that in a bit.
Yeah.
But as I've said for months, there's not going to be an indictment. And you know why?
Because she didn't violate any laws.
Well, it's not just that, but even if there was a violation of law, in order to be indicted, there has to be shown a willful criminal intent. Meaning you knew what the law was and you willfully skirted the law.
The lawyer in me is very proud of you, Brian.
Thank you. Without a willful criminal intent, and there's no evidence, and no serious commentator or analyst, legal or political, is saying that she's going to be indicted for these very reasons. Without willful criminal intent, there is no indictment. And we also have no evidence that they've convened a grand jury.
Well, I will just say that technically mistake is not a defense. But you are absolutely right, and the major point here is there was no violation of law. There may have been a violation
of. Why did that little shit IT guy plead the fifth?
Listen, a lot of reasons. People can plead the fifth for a lot of reasons, right?
But that's about incriminating yourself.
That's correct.
It's not about incriminating her. He was worried about incriminating himself in some capacity.
I thought he would get immunity from any of that.
Well, he did.
I thought he did.
He got an immunity deal, but I read it. I wish I knew what it was now, but there's a law professor, I think from Chapman, which is where you went to law school, is it not?
What was his name?
I don't remember because this was a good 4 months ago. But when they talked about he wrote an essay talking about what this immunity deal really meant.
Wait, is he a Republican?
I think so.
Oh.
And he's
probably know who it is.
Honestly, I don't want to say that with any kind of authority because I don't know. I don't remember. These are vague details. But what I do remember in reading it is that he said, look, and by the way, he also said the same thing that I just did, which is without willful criminal intent, there's not going to be an indictment.
Right.
But he said the immunity deal probably is an indication that the investigation's wrapping up and that they don't really have anything. Because in order to get an immunity deal, you have to think that he has something that he's going to plead the fifth and not tell you.
Right.
Right. So
he pleaded the fifth, and then he got the
right now.
deal?
I'm basically summarizing here, but what I remember of this piece that was written by this law professor was it's probably a sign they don't have much, because if they had something, they wouldn't need to give him immunity. Right.
I think that the conventional wisdom in terms of, at least from people inside the campaign, has been there is nothing there.
Right.
She's not worried about an indictment. I had the pleasure of meeting Robbie Moog a few.
You did?
I sure did.
Oh.
Actually, he called for a meeting with Alex. We should point out that
he did. It was a small group of Los Angeles-based LGBT leaders and community activists and stuff. So I was privileged enough to be included in on that because one of the people that ran the meet met me as I ran to be a delegate here in LA.
Oh yeah?
Yes. I didn't win.
Fifth place.
Sixth place out of 138 candidates.
And how many do they take?
They take 4 men, 4 women, but it's proportionally allocated to
however the vote breaks down in there.
To Sanders and Clinton supporters. Anyway, she had met me at that event, and she invited me. It was very lovely. But I got to meet him, and he said that there is no worry from the campaign that they're going to be indicted, and it's faux outrage. It's faux outrage, and it's meant to be slow dripped. That is a tactic that's often used in politics, the slow drip, because it keeps people talking about the story.
It perpetuates a story.
Yeah.
And the more you get people saying the word the name Hillary Clinton in the same sentence as email and in the same sentence as federal investigation.
Well, look,
people who
I just want us to be open and because I need to understand it too.
Yeah, she did something that previous secretaries of state had done, which was used a private email server to
not quite clear, or not quite accurate.
Right.
The Secretary of State Colin Powell used private email, Hotmail. Condoleezza,
Hotmail?
I believe so. Condoleezza Rice did not use email at all, but her staff used private email accounts to conduct government business, both of which are not in line with protocol.
Protocol is
Hillary Clinton is the first one to use a separate server, and also to not. This is something that she has said that she hasn't given a very, very good and very clear answers on this.
Well, no, she said it was a mistake.
And some of them have been inaccurate.
Yeah.
PolitiFact has looked into it, and she said everything was above board and she had permission. She never asked for permission. No one really. She said everyone knew what I was doing. Not really. But again, it's violating internal departmental protocol is not the same thing as violating law. And I just don't see anything nefarious here. And her response to this at the Univision debate was exactly sums up my feelings of it, where he said, if you get indicted, will you drop out? And she said, oh, for heaven's not going to happen. I'm not even answering that question.
Absolutely right.
Which to me means it's preposterous.
Yeah.
The Benghazi committee thing has collapsed under the weight of its own
the money
emptiness.
that,
Well, look,
that they've spent.
I work for the government. I'll just say that.
Oh, you do?
And I do.
What do you do?
Well, it doesn't matter. But
Oh, okay.
I don't want to.
No, it's okay.
But what I'll say is there's a lot of protocol. There are a lot of rules. There is a lot of rules, and there are a lot of ways that you can potentially break the rules without even knowing. I'm not saying that she broke them without knowing. Maybe she did. Maybe she didn't. I don't know. But I'm just saying if I'm to break a rule at the workplace, I don't get indicted by the federal government. I get a slap on the wrist and
They
hey,
put
do better
something in
next
your
time.
Well, you're not the Secretary of State either, but point taken.
Obviously,
Point taken.
but within the realm of government, it's treated very uniformly, violation of protocol, whether you are a LA County commissioner or a janitor.
Well, I'm here to tell you, and anybody who's listening or watching on Facebook or otherwise, because I'm very vocal about these things on social media. If it turns out that there's an indictment, I'll eat my words. But I can tell you right now, there's not going to be because it's a non-issue.
I agree. But I just wanted to bring that up so that we have a clear
it's meant
picture.
to impugn her integrity.
Of course.
Right, and to delegitimize what they know is going to be a win. We saw this with the Whitewater investigation, where they spent $40 million in several years. To only to find out what they said all along was true, which is that they were not involved in the criminal activity. We've got the Benghazi Select Committee that's collapsed under the weight, like a black hole, collapsed under the weight of its own emptiness. Going nowhere.
To me, what's disappointing about it, though, is to see liberals and progressives and Democrats
parroting this stuff.
Yeah, and it's
perpetuating it.
Why would you contribute to? I think one of the strengths of the Republican Party, at least for the past 20 years, has been that they are unbelievably good at controlling the message.
That's right.
This election cycle has proven to be the first time, I think, in 20 years where that is not the case. They've lost control, but
they've lost control of their message. But extremist liberals are carrying the pennant for them.
But in the past, they have always been very good at controlling the message.
Absolutely.
George W. Bush,
they're masterful message makers.
Amazingly good at not actually doing anything, not actually saying anything, just controlling the message.
Right.
And I think it's disappointing to see Democrats or liberals tend to be, in my opinion, more thoughtful and more savvy.
I have to say that the most disappointing thing, and I mean this with no degree of exaggeration, the most disappointing thing to me as someone who's closely observed politics on a daily basis for 25 years and has been writing about it for 10, as a progressive, that I always believed that progressives truly, they're not, we can't speak about them monolithically, but that in general, progressives tend to be a little bit more rational, reasonable, and enlightened in terms of how they approach, thought and draw conclusions. And the thing that I have seen in this election cycle is that ideological purity that borders on nihilism, irrational thought, and emotional reactionism knows no party, knows no candidate.
Exactly.
It is a fundamental human flaw that we are as capable of seeing from the left as we are from the right. And I've seen a lot of ugliness and things that I shake my head and go, how is this progressiveness?
Well,
how is this progressiveness?
Taking away the progressive or liberal cards from people like, personally, I volunteered for Move On.
So did I.
I protested the Iraq War with Move On, okay?
Yeah.
I was the progressive liberal hippie Berkeley kid.
That's right. You're from Berkeley.
I'm a Berkeley alum, but I was that progressive hardcore lefty that people would make fun of. And to have people now strip me of my liberal card because I support Hillary Clinton is unbelievable.
It's preposterous,
and it's a lot of people who are just getting involved for the first
time.
time.
Well, that's the most fundamentally shocking thing to me, right? That being lectured by these people who are so new to the process they don't understand it, and it's fine that they're enthused by it. I mean, I remember saying to someone once, and maybe this is condescending at this point, I really don't give a shit. And I said,
I've been called condescending so many times.
For plainly stating facts.
I'm just working with facts here.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I'm dealing in information. So come to the argument at the level of information. Right. I said to him, my friend, I truly, as someone who is passionate about politics and has been for a quarter of a century, I am genuinely glad that you're no longer apathetic and that you are engaged and excited. All right. But I can tell you that I have been engaged and excited and involved for 25 years. I know a thing or two. So whenever I speak about something, I'm speaking with some level of authority.
And just a couple of years in the trenches, it's not either of our first time to the rodeo.
That's right.
We both protested Prop 8 as well.
That's
so
right.
Did I.
We were one of the 5 on that street.
And so it's very frustrating and weird to me that the new kids are so willing and able to strip you of your progressive
right.
right.
They just came up with this.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they're the first ones.
May I just say,
yeah.
We had the revolution in 2007 when we elected the first African-American president, the most liberal progressive president in American history. Everyone, please, let's get back into reality here. I mean, really.
Right now we are going to listen to you sing a song. You want to tell us what song it is?
I have no idea what it is.
I will tell the listeners and the viewers what song it is. So again, this is from a one-person show. Let's not be gender specific.
A misnomer.
A one-person show that Alex Mohajer performed at the Rockwell stage here in Los Angeles, California, on this last Sunday, which might be reprised in August.
Yep.
The song is "Make You Feel My Love."
Oh.
And here we are.
We'll be back with more of the Ann Walker Show on UBN Radio.
Yeah.
When the rain is blowing in your face and the whole world is on your case, how would I hurt you on a warm embrace to make you feel my love? When the evening shadows and the stars speak and there's no one there to dry your tears, I would hold you for a million years to make you feel my love. I know you haven't made your mind up yet, but I would never do you wrong. I've known it from the moment that we met. No doubt in my mind where you belong. I'd go hungry, I'd go black and red. I'd go crawling down the avenue, go to the ends of the earth for you, to make you feel my love. there's nothing that I wouldn't do. Go to the ends of the earth for you, to make you feel my love, to make you feel my love.
Welcome back to the Ann Walker Show on UBN Radio.
What a bummer.
That was great. That was great.
That was the hardest part for me of the whole night. I don't know if you heard me saying right before. It was like right in the very beginning of the clip. I was like, I don't want to do this.
I didn't hear that.
It was a the whole evening was very emotional, and I typically tend to run with a more I go with like a whole diva shtick usually, and I don't open up too much on stage in these kinds of environments. I play up a different persona, and that evening was about stripping away all that and being vulnerable.
But that endears you to the people.
Yeah. Well, you know, the whole show was about what I said earlier about perception and intention, but also how people in my daily life, I mean, it happens even now and in multiple venues that people will see me as this thing, and I think that I'm something totally different. And I wonder, like, what is it that makes some people think that you're great and some people think you're just terrible and an awful person? And no,
don't you think people, I have that in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a loudmouth, politically biased person.
But the truth is that the people who have that negative opinion of you, that opinion has nothing to do with you.
No, of course not.
That opinion has to do totally with the subjective experience of that person.
Exactly.
So when I have encountered people, and I really have in my life encountered people that really love me and really hate me, and I feel like there's just the two, and I don't.
Hate seems like such a strong word.
People hate people who never have met me.
Oh, but see, those people don't mean anything.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I'm a political commentator. I get all the shit all the time, right? You know, and honestly, it water off a duck. It's not bothersome to me, but
well, you know, in my show, I said and come see it in August. But you know, one of the points that I end up getting to is if we could stop, all of us, for a moment and look at people and see them for who they are, and see them instead of spend so much time with judgment and seeing them through our own projection of things, that it would solve all of the world's problems.
Well, you know, doing that very thing solved a very personal problem for me very recently, but I
don't know what you're referencing there.
I'm sure you don't. I did tell a friend last week, we were talking about something quite similar, and I said, you know, the greatest gift, I think one of the greatest gifts that you'll ever be able to give to yourself is to truly relinquish the desire or the need to be liked and approved of by everybody.
We're performers, Brian. Good luck.
I don't know. Maybe that's
really
maybe
why don't you love me is the constant inner monologue.
That doesn't speak to me, to be honest with you.
Microphone down. Can everybody hear me?
I hear you great.
Okay, good.
Your mellifluous voice, I love hearing it. It's so soothing. That I don't feel that way whenever I perform, and then maybe I'm not a very good performer because I don't worry about it. But
I don't think that it's the sign of a good performer or not. But I think that
what I mean is it's
I'm
entirely
always concerned.
It's entirely I want to do good work. I want to serve the story.
No, but I don't think that's.
I don't worry about people enjoying my performance or you know, thinking that I'm a good actor. It really is immaterial to me.
But we're talking about two different things though.
Yeah.
Like I don't worry about whether people actually, when I'm on stage, is when I'm the least concerned with whether you like it or not. If I have an intention and I have like something I want to do, I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm very adamant about that. And it's not my job to be concerned with what people think about it. But I think that a lot of performers tend to have underlying their decision or their love for the craft a common thread of
I hope they like
love
this.
me. But also, I think
need the validation.
I think
but as an
all
actor,
of us do. I think all of us do.
As an actor,
Want to
though,
be
you
loved.
can never go outside of yourself. You have to do it for yourself.
Right.
And then you just hope that your craft is going to support you in recreating life, because you can never worry about what. I mean, if you're doing a movie, I hope the I hope the crew likes this,
Right?
or I hope my director likes it. You really do have to be, hold on to it.
It reminds me of that brilliant Martha Graham quote, and it's a long quote. I think you must know it. It's so brilliant, and it's about as artists, we are. I'm just paraphrasing here. We have a divine dissatisfaction that's constant, and it's not our job to judge our craft and to judge how good we are or how good our product is. It's just our judge to keep the channel open and create something that's honest and pure. And
it's inside of you,
right?
Right. And if you are recreating life to the best of your ability at the time you are on stage with someone, then whatever they will perceive what you are selling.
Yeah,
of course.
Without you having to oversell it.
Right.
Or I just watched I watched Long Day's Journey into Night. Katharine Hepburn.
Good for you.
Jason Robards.
Did you watch it with a vodka?
Yes, I was drinking.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's the only way to watch it.
But it was from 1962, I think, when they were filming plays, but they filmed them as movies.
Yes.
And there was a period of time when they did that. I watched The Seagull. I have not seen acting up close and so personal as I did between all those actors.
And,
yes.
and Long Day's Journey into Hell. I mean, Night.
Oh,
and
God.
and it is a long day's journey into night and hell. But I was drawn in so much by the performances and watching them that it was just sort of delicious as an actor to be reminded.
Oh, I'm going to have to see that. Those are big words coming from you.
God.
Alex doesn't know this, and for that matter, I don't think your listeners do. But a little over 4 years ago, I did an AIDS Day reading at the Skylight Theater in Los Feliz with Ann Walker. And if you ever have an opportunity to see her live on stage, I don't want to embarrass you.
That's okay.
But I was riveted.
Yeah.
We got 1 hour of rehearsal or 2 hours of rehearsal when we all were doing separate scenes. I had only met her that one time, or that was the first time I had met her. And then we did the performance, and it was riveting.
Was that at the Skylight?
Yep.
Yeah. Michael Kearns.
Compelling, strong, the gravity of Jupiter with the grace of Neptune. It was just amazing. I think you did a monologue about a mother who had found out that her son had AIDS, I think.
Oh.
Actually, I did a play called Ballad that Tyler Hansen wrote. I did this play years and years and years ago. We also, at this radio station, when we first started it, we had a theater, a play reading. Actually, we produced an actual show, and I did that show, and it was one of the best things we've ever done. And then I also produced it here in town, and we ran it for a while. I won some awards for it, but it was again that thing where you get the actors in just recreating life. It is as if you are this mother. And I think it helps that I am a mom and that I had children and stuff. But then you get, Sorted Lives, and Sorted Lives is like so much fun. And, the new movie's going to be great, people.
Is it? You're really excited about it?
I'm very excited about it, yeah. And I don't want to get away tonight unless we talk a little bit. Before we go, I have to tout some stuff about that. So
about Sorted Lives, of course. This Del Shores, right?
Yeah, Del Shores. We've started a new Indiegogo campaign.
Oh,
because they have to raise some money in order to.
Do we have a link that we can show?
Oh gosh, it's somewhere.
We can probably Google Indiegogo. Sorted Lives?
Sorted Lives, yeah. A very sorted wedding, maybe.
Okay.
But anyway, we'll put it up. And I haven't actually posted it on my Facebook yet.
No time like today.
I figured I have this little venue. But we'll talk about it again. So we want to talk about now vice presidential picks.
Well, yeah, I think we can spend a couple minutes on it.
Do you have any, Alex, what do you think? What do you think?
Before he does, I have a theory, because I know a lot of people, there's a lot of rumors going around this last week about Warren, right? And I had categorically said for 2 months, she's not going to offer it. Warren wouldn't accept it. And then I also lumped Warren in with this group of senators that have been rumored to be on shortlists that I say will not be picked because they're from states that a Republican would replace. Cory Booker of New Jersey, which would be a great pick. I do think that I'd love to see a person of color on the ticket. He's young. Generally, that's one of those kind of rules that people kind of consider is that you want someone young to balance out the ticket, although certainly Vice President Biden didn't fit the bill.
Or Dick Cheney.
Correct.
Dick Cheney he's just like
really.
Al Gore fit the bill?
I know Julian Castro. Well, he was young back then.
The Castro brothers.
Julian Castro is on. I just don't think that people are generally excited by him. But so in my mind, so there's Sherrod Brown of Ohio.
I'm very excited about him.
Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts and Cory Booker of New Jersey. I have said for months there's no way they'll be chosen because a Republican would name the replacement, and it's not just about regaining the Senate for Democrats. It's about stemming the bleeding that will happen in 2018 when they face a brutal re-election map. But a very interesting story came out this week that Senator Reid commissioned a study on the minutia of Massachusetts law in terms of naming a replacement.
I did read that.
And as it turns out, it is the only state where in a special election, so essentially a special election is triggered 145 days from the resignation date, or the date of the vacation of office, right? So it turns out Elizabeth Warren could 145 days from inauguration day write a letter of resignation, but say I don't intend to vacate the office until January 21st of 2017. In which case, if she were named the VP and they were elected, that Republican governor would not have the opportunity to name a replacement.
Oh, why?
Because it would go to a special election.
Oh.
So he was, and it's unique to Massachusetts. So now there's all this rumbling about maybe she'll pick Warren, and Warren would be a good pick. It would be two women. It would be historic. It would be monumental. It would It would grab those Bernie voters and it would send a message to progressives that Hillary Clinton is serious about Wall Street reform. Your thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay, my thoughts are this. Personally speaking, I would love a Clinton Warren ticket. It would just make all of my little liberal dreams come true. I would love it. It would be like
it would be an
feminist
exciting
dreams
ticket.
come true. I'm a feminist,
and she's an effective attack dog, which is typically the role of a VP.
And she's a badass, and she's extremely smart, and she's got it. I would love it. Aside from that, I will say that I have some insight into this discussion.
Oh, good. Yes.
But I'm not going to share it at all. I will just say that. I would just say that in my view, the campaign knows who they're going with. I'll say that. I think the campaign has already
the choice has been made, probably
barring some
unforeseen circumstances.
I don't think the choice has been put in writing. I don't think anyone's been made an official offer or anything. But I think that the campaign generally has a specific idea.
Okay, well, let's talk strengths and weaknesses. So obviously, Warren, we've talked about those, and you agree with those, and you agree with those as well.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the benefits of Sherrod Brown? So he's got that kind of working class, disheveled Bernie Sanders, Ohio, senator of Ohio.
That's a big swing state.
He's in a swing state.
And by the way, a person who he's very, very well educated, Ivy League educated, but comes across as like a working a man's man. You know, he's got that disheveled Bernie Sanders look about him. Yay or nay?
I'd be happy with him.
I think he would be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he'd be fine.
Castro?
Do you?
I originally, early on, I thought that Julian Castro would be the pick.
Yeah.
Because he's young and attractive.
And
Latino.
And he's
Latino.
Yeah, and he's Latino, and he's young, and he's a mover and shaker.
But he's a Secretary of Housing and Urban Development.
Yeah, we'll see how that pans out. I think
I don't think it's going to happen.
The momentum hasn't really gone in his direction.
It's not as romantic as it would be to get somebody from Ohio like a Sherrod Brown or another woman. And I have to say,
two women, that would be so.
It really would. Feingold would be great. Feingold would be great if he weren't trying to take a seat back.
Right.
But Elizabeth, I love Russ Feingold.
Everybody does.
I even love Al Franken. I mean, I love the Franken.
I love
and
Al
naming
Franken.
photo. I think it's
sure.
But
but it's just in theory. I know that the practical application of it is a different story.
Of course,
we're just talking, purely
personal feelings.
Yeah,
this
is just a radio show.
Right.
Doesn't go. Nobody listens. Let me just say this one thing about Elizabeth Warren and how much I appreciate the fact that she has become such an avid speaker outer. She just really lets Donald Trump have it. And she is like everybody loves her and respects her because of her points of view on the banking industry and how it's consumer protection agency. I mean, that's what her whole claim to fame is. And when they put her in there for that, and then didn't they knock her out?
Yeah, she wasn't. Then she never actually served on it.
Yeah. And then she decided, you fuckers, I'm going to run, for the Senate. And the fact that she has been so consistent in not taking sides between Hillary and Bernie.
She's endorsing tomorrow.
Well, yeah, I
and
know.
Obama too, right?
Well, I don't think he's going to do it tomorrow. He's got that
I think
meeting.
he's going to wait until D.C.
He's be on the Tonight Show tomorrow.
But Sanders is going to the White House tomorrow. I think he's going to get taken
by
to the
his own person.
He's going to get taken to the woodshed.
By his request.
Well, we do know that Barack Obama is playing peacemaker between the two.
Oh, absolutely. Just like Dianne Feinstein did.
And we know that Barack Obama called Sanders over the weekend, called them both, and I'm sure that the conversation went something like, I'm going to
pull it together.
Yeah, I'm going to see you through to Tuesday, but pretty soon, possibly as early as this week, but probably, I suspect not until after Washington. I'm done, and Joe Biden and I are coming out, and we're going to campaign hard for us. So go to the convention if you want.
And he's chomping at the bit. You know what, Barack Obama?
He's been chomping at the bit for months.
He is a politician. He loves campaigning.
I love Barack Obama.
I do too. Trust. I mean, I love him. I'm going to miss him.
Oh, me
but
too.
He loves campaigning. He's been waiting to get out there, and he wants to support his girl, obviously. He did an interview for 60 Minutes or something when then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was leaving the State Department. And I remember the interviewer was like, what's the expiration date on this endorsement? And it was 4 years before she even... I mean, he's been waiting for this for a while.
Well, then he had that joke at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
To talk or say anything anywhere? I don't want to leave them out.
I don't want to say anything. I never have anything to say.
No, you do, and that's great. But I don't want to leave the listeners out if they have comments or anything they want to say.
We have some comments about the song that was.
Oh, good. Let's hear them.
Alex loves the validation. Let's hear it.
Oh God, no, I'm scared.
There's two comments. There's the heart emoji.
Oh, yay.
And then there's Beautiful, one of my favorite songs.
Oh,
wonderful. It was beautiful.
So nice. And it was. It's a beautiful song.
Thank you.
Now, is that all you wanted to say about vice presidents?
I mean, we could talk for a full 90 minutes about possible vice presidents.
Oh, I know.
But I just think we're excited. It's exciting that we're now at a part in the campaign where this is a real conversation versus speculative.
And I mean, I will go on record saying right now, I don't like to make predictions, but it will certainly not be Bernie Sanders.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, he's not even on the list.
No.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to talk, though,
according to that political article, pisses him off.
About the fact that
Things
are happening in the Bernie Sanders column as far as his superdelegates. I was hearing this recently on the way in here on MSNBC, that out of his 48 superdelegates that he has, there are some of them who are going to switch back over to Hillary.
Well, they should.
Well, of course. And that, and Jeff Merkley and Representative Raul Grijalva, they're the co-chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, said Sanders would have to accept the inevitability of Clinton's nomination and begin. These are people in his own camp.
Right.
Now, another person in his own camp that I
was
have
this the Politico article? Were you quoting?
Is it? That would be good if I.
There was a very similar Politico article.
That's the one I was just referring to. Okay. In the talking about the death throes of his campaign,
right? Where people from inside the campaign are basically saying,
"Oh no, that was another article. That was the one that I had on the first page."
More than one article is talking about the fact that even his own people are saying,
well,
it's overdue.
Merkley said,
and that he's blowing up his own legacy.
Merkley, who is a superdelegate himself, said flatly that Sanders should not pursue this course any longer. The superdelegates are set aside when you make the judgment that you have a majority of the pledged delegates. I would not support a battle that involves trying to flip superdelegates. The other, Grijalva, meanwhile, told the writer of this article that he expected Sanders to continue trying to win over superdelegates, but only for a limited period of time. Now, today, this is one day, the next day after Hillary has been proclaimed nominee, David Mixner. Do you know who David Mixner is, Alex?
I'm aware of him.
He has been a big Bernie supporter. Started out, but now back in the 60s is when he got involved in politics and has had... He's attended 10 national conventions and played major roles in at least 5 of them. Now, he just said, why shouldn't I wait until the convention is over to make my endorsement? There is an easy answer, and his name is Donald Trump. In all of his 16 elections that he has been witness to in his life, never has there been a candidate that so threatens our American ideas, our Constitution, and even the basis of a free and democratic country. He is a dangerous demagogue who has embraced racism, misogyny, homophobia, and xenophobia. The very idea that his hand could be, obviously that Hillary said that. I can't even begin to imagine a world where Trump is in charge of our foreign policy. His election would leave us one short step away from a dictatorship. Mm-hmm. Now, when you've got people this smart, I love David Mixner. He's been,
great writer.
Been on my show. He's a terrific writer. The fact that the next day he has changed his, mind and. Not changed his mind, but he is a progressive person who understands the political. You're off camera, dear. I'll be right back. Oh, okay.
Just a quick little hiatus.
He's going to take a nap. And I'm back. But I just wanted to get that in, and then
I'm glad you did.
Deepak Chopra was on Alan Combs. No, be of good cheer.
Why the disdain for Deepak Chopra? What did she ever do to you?
Well, if, with Anne's permission, I will come back and we can do a 90-minute show on that charlatan. But anyway, go ahead.
Do you think?
Do I think?
I like Deepak Chopra.
I'm sure he's a nice guy. He's a snake oil salesman. He's full of shit.
No,
carry on.
He was talking about the personality traits of a Donald Trump, of the Donald Trump.
Sure, okay.
He's full of fear. He is angry. He has a lot of hatred. He pouts. He's belligerent. He's emotionally retarded. Maybe he's mentally retarded too.
Oh
That's
Chopra said this?
Chopra.
That's very offensive.
He is always,
That is offensive.
and because he never says anything bad about anybody.
Uh-huh.
Anyway,
why couldn't you just say emotionally stagnant?
Well, millions of people worldwide turn to Chopra for calming, new age advice on everything from alternative medicine to religion and relationships.
Yeah.
Whatever you think of Chopra's credibility on such matters, no one has ever accused him of being incendiary or really anything short of peaceful and compassionate.
Well, that's probably true.
And so his remarks to Alan Combs on Tuesday were jarring, to say the least. Donald Trump has so unnerved this serene and contemplative person that he could not restrain himself from saying some things that, frankly, border on the offensive. Well, offensive not to Donald Trump, because let's face it, who really cares what anyone says about Donald Trump, but rather people with intellectual disabilities who have nothing to deserve being compared. Oh, fuck it. I can't even read that. But anyway, all I'm saying is when you're getting all the psychologists who are, analyzing Trump and analyzing who he is as a person, and we hear it, and his people who support him, they're not listening. People are not listening. They're not taking any of this. I saw a thing on.
But they're hearing the parts that he's
they're
appealing to.
They're discounting them. They're just completely saying, "Well, yeah, but even if all those things are true, we're still gonna." Because he speaks his mind.
Right.
If I hear that fucking phrase one more time, he speaks his mind.
You know what? Sometimes we don't always speak our minds.
Well, by the way,
sometimes
I do.
I'm going to go ahead and go there. Whenever someone says something like, well, I like him because he speaks his mind, what they're really saying is, I like him because he's saying things that
agrees with the racist things that I believe.
He agrees with, he is saying things that I hold to be true, but I'm too afraid to say.
Exactly.
Right.
And that no other politician will say because you're not supposed to say that
terrible.
shit. Right, because it's terrible,
Because
divisive,
it's giving,
ugly shit.
It's giving them the permission to their collective psyche to express their darkest thoughts.
Absolutely. And I said last week on the show that Donald Trump is the candidate of white nationalist resentment. There, I said it. It's done.
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh, I think that's very clear. I think that it's. I think he is appealing to the anger of a very small part of the electorate
who have never taken part in any of the elections.
And doesn't that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without going too deeply into it.
Yeah.
No, because we don't have to.
As
Because
to not
as I
seem
listen, I don't worry about sounding condescending because, as I said to someone once, by plainly stating information.
Yeah.
I said, look, and he's like, oh, you're being condescending right now. such an overused phrase. I said,
man.
I am responsible only for the accuracy of the information I'm giving you. I am not responsible for how you take it.
Well, I've had
That is
people
on you.
rebut facts by saying, you guys are just trying to use facts. And I was like, yes, we are. What
Speaking
are you
of
talking
facts,
about?
can we have a look at that superdelegate graphic
Yeah.
since you were talking about superdelegates? Not that it matters because I don't think he's going to make it to the convention, but on this quixotic
He'll be there,
crusade that he is a superdelegate, ironically. On this
Bernie
on
is?
this quick
Yes,
he
he
is.
is.
On this
He's one
quixotic
of the
crusade
55.
that he has said that he's going to contest the convention, a term that is absolutely meaningless because
Ridiculous.
everyone's going to vote on the first ballot and in a binary
Mathematically.
race. It's a mathematical certainty. One of them will win a majority. There is not going to be a contested convention. It literally cannot happen. Here we have superdelegates. If we change the rules for him, we see how far ahead she is. If we change the rules for him and award them winner take all or proportionally, he still comes up drastically short. Unless he can, and no one thinks that he's going to convince 75% of superdelegates to switch.
No.
It's just preposterous. End it, Bernie. Lose with dignity, okay? Stop damaging your brand in this way.
Well, at this point, he's just harming his own.
It's
legacy.
not even. He's not even harming the party anymore because at this.
And I don't think he has a chance in Washington.
No, of course.
In DC
Well, listen,
next
he
week.
Hillary's
he
country.
could
Yeah,
he
it
could
is.
very, very well become empowered in a Democratic Senate. And I've said this about Warren too, that I'd rather have Warren and Sanders as chairs of powerful committees to actually affect the change that they really want to see happen, because that's where revolution happens. It happens in legislatures.
Absolutely.
Okay, so there's that. But all of that aside, he is in a position where he could be an ally with Hillary Clinton to affect the changes that he wants to see, to strengthen the party going into the November election so that they can win more seats in the Democratic and win back a Democratic House. And he can be empowered to be a leader
And
of Democrats.
all of those
You know what,
people
Brian? I
that
want to
he
say
has-
though, it may still happen. Let's
course.
give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Let's just.
All I'm saying
we're
is
in June,
and I don't worry anymore about party unity. And I know the Bernie or Busters or whatever, most of them will come around, and the ones who cannot,
Right.
the ones who will not, were unreachable to begin with,
Right.
and were never conscientious voters. Certainly not progressives with a moral compass. My point is that the longer he waits to do it, the less opportunity he has to be empowered in that way. And he's really just, at this point, he's not damaging the party. He's damaging himself.
Look, if he were to concede next week, right after the DC
Sure.
vote, I think it would be, a week after
That's
Hillary
2
did
months?
it in 2008.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
2 months till the convention.
I fully expect
I think
that,
he will.
I fully expect that he wants it. He said he noticed last night he didn't say contested convention in his speech.
No, he didn't.
And I predicted that he wouldn't, and he did not. He
did
said
not.
we're going to take our fight for change to the convention. That's different.
Very
And he said we're going to fight for every delegate we can get. All that means to me is let's see how many delegates we can get out of Washington, knowing it's not going to affect the race. I thought it was going to be a concession speech until it wasn't. It was very conciliatory. He didn't stop the booing against Hillary, but it was conciliatory.
Such an idiot. I hated
It's
that.
a douchebag move, but
and I just want to say this to anybody who might be watching as a Bernie Sanders supporter and who isn't exactly enthused about Hillary Clinton. We did experience a historic moment yesterday. And if you are a progressive or a liberal or a feminist or a woman or someone who has a woman in your life, which is all of us, just take the moment. Take the moment to acknowledge and pay respect to the historic moment and relax. You can go back to bashing her tomorrow. You can go back to hating it tomorrow. But just for a minute, have the grace to say, this woman just did something.
Did you see my response to the troll on Facebook
No.
today?
I saw some stuff going down.
Well, there was someone, I said something about, the historic moment. Or I actually said I had checked in on at this watch party, and I said that I was watching history happen. And, this guy has been trolling my post for
I
months.
did see this.
Yeah, and he said something to the effect of, oh, yes, great. How historic. The first presidential candidate under FBI investigation. Woohoo.
Oh, God.
This guy, and he's a progressive, by the way, or so he says. And I finally my response was this. I said, look, I understand that you don't like Hillary Clinton and that you're a Sanders supporter.
Right.
That's fine. But just like you were saying, can we not just take you say you're a progressive. As a progressive, can we not just take a moment, just one moment,
one evening,
to acknowledge the historical significance of a female nominee of a major party for the first time in our history, something that was long, long overdue? If you are so blinded by your hatred for her that you cannot do that you cannot have the grace to at least say, there's that.
Right.
then at the least, let other people who can acknowledge the significance of it do so without you weighing in with your corrosive derision.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it. I am a patient man, but my patience has been depleted.
Well, on that sweet note,
are we? Oh my
we
God!
are done.
It's the end.
Yes.
How did
it's
that
the
happen?
end.
You've got to talk about Sordid Lives.
Okay, Sordid Lives. Everybody go on the Very Sordid Wedding Indiegogo. There's some very unusual perks that you can give money, and this other thing will happen.
Unusual, like what?
Like
a back
things
massage
that
from Ann Walker?
Well, things he's talked me into doing.
Oh.
And
the mind reels.
Go on there.
I know, really.
Go on there and see if there's something that you would like to have me do for you.
I can think of a list of things already.
I don't give blowjobs for money. I do that all on my own.
You don't need to get paid for that,
No,
Ann
I
Walker.
don't. I enjoy that. But
I've learned
there
so
it
much
is.
about you.
There it is. There it is.
Excellent.
There's an 8-ounce bottle of lube signed by Ann Walker.
Oh.
No, that's an old one.
Eight
That's-
ounces is not enough.
That's a very, very old.
Oh, my
that was from the first one. There's a new one up.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure we talk about that next week.
Yeah, we will. And in the meantime, everybody have a terrific week. We are so excited for our first woman nominee of a political party. Thank you, Hillary Clinton, for sticking with us. I would have given up years ago if everybody was bashing me. But you are a stalwart woman who has something to say, and you are one of the most intelligent women and compassionate people we have on the planet. We're all so very, 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 very proud.
She has
tonight.
a metal forged in a fire that none of us could hope to understand.
Yes.
Thank you, Alex Mahajer.
Thank you so
Yes,
much for
Alex.
having me.
You'll come back.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope
yeah.
so.
And thank you, my dear friend Brian, for being here to keep
I get
me
to
honest.
see you 90 minutes out of a week, and that's
Isn't
Yeah.
he great?
That's not
I
enough.
love
I
Brian
love you.
Normoyle.
I do
Thank you.
too. So thank you guys all for checking in, and whoever was on Facebook, that was great. And in our chat room, thank you very much. And we'll see you next week, 6:00.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
For more information on The Ann Walker Show, you can follow us on Twitter at Ann Walker Show or like The Ann Walker Show Facebook page. And now you can stream both channels of UBN Radio directly to your smartphone or tablet using the TuneIn mobile app.